Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. Let me get into this. This has been the week so far, the month or whatever, the year so far, of one Shannon Sharpe, right? Shannon Sharpe is totally dominating media right now. Sports media, independent media, whatever the hell you want to call it. He's totally dominating. Shannon Sharpe just had an interview with Cat Williams that generated as the standalone interview in terms of the full interview. This interview has about 41 million views as we're here talking to you. 41 million views. The second most watched interview in the history of YouTube. If we look at the aggregate amount of views, meaning the full show plus the clips, my estimation is that number is around 80 million. It's unheard of. Absolutely unheard of. And Shannon Sharpe is really showing you what he can do when he's given some runway, has a great team around him. He could be himself, be creative. He's showing you that he could be the best in the business, or one of the best in the business, with him up there and Pat McAfee, right? It's astonishing. And it's Shannon Sharpe, and as we witness Shannon Sharpe go through all of this success, and I'm looking at it and I'm seeing how well he's doing, I can't help but thinking about Skip Bayless. Yes, Skip Bayless. It's incredible that we were bringing him up, right? It's like Skip Bayless. We forgot about Skip Bayless, but Skip Bayless still has a show. Now, why am I bringing up Skip Bayless? As you guys remember, Skip Bayless was the person that vouched for Shannon Sharpe to come on Undisputed to host the show with him, to be his co-host. I believe that show started in 2015, 16 or thereabout. Started a while ago. I think it was in 2015. I could be wrong. And they hosted the show for 6 years. And when they were there for the first few years, they got along wonderfully on television. Great show. I think they were averaging around 165,000 viewers a day on this show, and things seemed to be going well. But as time went on, you could begin to see the cracks in their relationships. You could really see Skip Bayless kind of stretching his legs and showing who the A side of that partnership was. And as time went on, he started to disrespect Shannon Sharpe on his show. Shannon also had his moments with Skip. I don't want to, be unfair, but Skip really started to disrespect his co-host to the point where it reached its boiling point last year. They had a crazy altercation or incident on television, and after that incident, we all knew that this relationship was going to be coming to a close pretty soon. So what happened? The relationship ends. Shannon Sharpe leaves the day after the NBA Finals concluded, and he became a free agent. Throughout the summer, we started hearing various rumors of Shannon Sharpe joining ESPN and blah, 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 blah. So what happens? The news drops that Shannon Sharpe is going to be making regular appearances on ESPN First Take 2 days a week with Stephen A. Smith. The moment that news dropped, it was like a total media frenzy. The weekend before Shannon Sharpe made his debut appearance on ESPN First Take, Club Shay Shay published the podcast with Stephen A. Smith as the guest. Within a 2-day window, a day and a half window, that interview generated about 1.8 million views. And it was at that moment we knew that this thing was going to be electrifying. Then Shannon made his debut on ESPN First Take, and the numbers were astronomical. Some days pulling over 900,000, 850,000 viewers. An audience size that was on certain days 8 to 10 times the size of his former show, Undisputed, who, by the way, went on to replace Shannon Sharpe with an ensemble cast of Michael Irvin, Keyshawn Johnson, Rachel Nichols at points, Lil Wayne at various points, Richard Sherman at various points. Ever since the departure of Shannon Sharpe from Undisputed, two things have happened. Undisputed has never reached the level that it was since Shannon Sharpe's departure in terms of his average daily viewers. And Shannon Sharpe has shot into a totally different stratosphere. And at the time we heard the news that Shannon Sharpe was going to be going to ESPN First Take, I said it then, and I'm going to reiterate it again. I said, if you are FS1, there is no way, let me repeat, there is no way on God's green earth that you let a talent like that walk out of the door. There's just no way. You cannot let someone like Shannon Sharpe. You just cannot. For whatever reason, hubris, maybe they felt beholden or loyal, to Skip Bayless, who helped provide the network, because Skip did. Whatever the case was, they decided to let Shannon Sharpe go. And I believe, from a personality standpoint, that has been the biggest mistake in sports media history, is Undisputed letting Shannon Sharpe go and become a free agent to then go over to their competitors, their direct competitors at ESPN First Take in the exact same time slot, and let these guys totally dominate. Because Stephen A. Smith on the show with JJ Redick, Jay Williams, Kendrick Perkins, Chris Mad Dog, all of these guys, they were already getting double the views of Undisputed during the same time slot. Quite literally, 365, 400,000 views. You get Shannon to go on there, and whenever Shannon makes an appearance on Undisputed, on ESPN First Take, it's an absolute joke. The views totally spike. And I'm beginning to wonder, was Shannon being held back by being on Undisputed and having his partner as Skip Bayless? I'm beginning to wonder that. Because now that we see Shannon have the full creative control to go out there and stretch his legs, he's really showing you what he's capable of. And I think that the number one thing that Shannon Sharpe did, which was probably the smartest move he made, was to ensure that he owned the rights or was able to walk away with Club Shay Shay. We're not even factoring that in. That was the single biggest move he has made. Because by being able to leave with Club Shay Shay, he then put himself in a power position to, number one, negotiate a deal with the Volume Podcast Network, I think being ran by Colin Cowherd, owned or ran, whatever it is. And number two, he now put himself in a position to have an interview like he did with Cat Williams that goes viral, and he owns, I guess, the majority of it. So to me, Shannon Sharpe, if we're being totally honest with you, is arguably one of the best businessmen in terms of sports media personalities going. And it ain't really even close. It ain't even close. It ain't hollering Stephen A. It ain't him. It ain't him. It's Shannon Sharpe. If we're talking about it from an independent standpoint, where somebody is not leveraging everything on it. See, Stephen A. Smith's success is highly leveraged upon the fact that he is on ESPN First Take. 5, 6, 7 days, 150 days a week. I'm jesting with, because he always jokes about this guy works 6,000 hours a week. Shannon Sharpe is only on ESPN 2, sometimes 3 times a week. But he's still able to pull in these gargantuan numbers off of ESPN on his other platforms. Look at Nightcap with him in Chad Ochocinco. I think that platform is already at 1 million subscribers. His other channel, I think, is at 2.5. Club Shay Shay, 2 million, 2.5 million, whatever, 2.4 million. This is one man. And then if you think about Skip Bayless, he's nowhere to be seen or heard of. No one even talks about his podcast. Nobody. Not nobody. So I think this was the single biggest mistake by FS1 is to let Shannon. There's no arguing around it. If ESPN can find a way to keep Pat McAfee, with him going at top executives, calling them out, there's no way you can convince me that they couldn't. If anything, if you didn't even want him to have a show, give him his own show. Give him his own show and just watch the guy work. He's the best in the business, in my personal view. Him and Pat McAfee. And then everybody else comes after them. Him, Pat McAfee. Those are the two. And then everybody else comes behind him. That's just my personal view. I cannot believe they let this guy go. And do not be confused. It is not because of ESPN that Shannon Sharpe is doing so well. It's because of Shannon Sharpe. Do you know why I am saying this? Because there are a lot of people that go on ESPN First Take that ain't doing nowhere near and will never do what this dude is doing. Let's not boil it down and distill it down to that. Shannon Sharpe is the big leagues. I was recently listening to Patrick Bet-David yesterday on Valuetainment. Shout out to Patrick Bet-David. I don't know him, obviously. I don't agree with everything that he says. I agree with some of the stuff that he says. I used to follow him for his business content. Some of his views I agree with. This, it doesn't matter, but because he makes excellent content. But anyway, he was talking about arguing. They were discussing the Pat McAfee back and forth or whatever. And he was saying that ESPN is not the big leagues. Pat McAfee is the big leagues. I believe what he's talking about, I think he's looking at the trend going into the future. These guys are going to be the trailblazers moving forward, and you can see it. And these guys are doing it without those networks. They were already big time. Already, Pat McAfee, I believe, had a 5-year, $120 million deal with FanDuel. More than he's getting paid by ESPN, but FanDuel didn't have the platform that ESPN has in the exposure. So I think Pat McAfee traded off some money for more exposure. Shannon Sharpe, man, how they let him go is unbeknownst to me. Total blunder. Let me get into this topic here. As you guys know, Stephen A. Smith went on his show about a week or so ago, to do a segment responding to Allen Iverson basically having Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant as the two best players. For whatever reason, he disagreed. He went on his show. He put out his opinions there. Then what happened? Rashad McCants from Gil's Arena, one of the panelists from Gil's Arena, he gets a whiff of those comments. And he decides to fire back at Stephen A. Smith, saying, "Bro, what Kobe already gone, man. Like, let him live." And blah blah blah. So he goes back at Stephen A. Smith, and then Stephen A. Smith, in typical Stephen A. Smith fashion, gets on his show. You don't know what the hell you're talking about, cussing up a storm or whatever. Then he invites on Shaq, and then Shaquille O'Neal joins the show. Shaquille O'Neal comes on, and Shaq basically said, first of all, I agree with Rashad McCants, number one. Number two, there's no sensible GOAT debate if you're not mentioning Kobe Bryant. He said if you're going to mention LeBron James, Michael Jordan, you mention Kobe Bryant. That's what Shaq said, and he pushed back on, right? And maybe Stephen A. Smith wasn't expecting that answer, but that's the answer that Shaq gave him. So what happens? Yesterday, going through the internet, I see like a headline talking about, with the thumbnail, you see Rashad McCants, Gil's Arena fires back or responds back to Stephen A. Smith. And I'm like, it's going to be pretty interesting. So I'm watching, they're talking about a few other things. And then it gets to the part where they give Rashad McCants the floor to basically express his views on what Stephen A. Smith had to say to his comments. So for those of you who didn't hear what Rashad McCants had to say, want to play what he had to say in its entirety, responding to Stephen A. Smith, and then we'll come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what Rashad McCants had to say there.
The floor is yours. What's your response to Mr. Smith?
I accept your apology. Clear as day. You know? I didn't need Shaq to go do that, but I appreciate my brother Shaq stepping, because I guess it was only two people that it struck a chord with. Out of all the 5,000 players that ever watched Kobe Bryant play, me and Shaq feel some type of way. And that's unfortunate, but I know a lot of people can't say what they really feel when it come down to a Kobe Bryant, because he's not here no more. And he didn't really with a lot of people. So a lot of people not gonna come to his defense, but that's my brother in blood. Like, that's my man's. So it is kind of personal for me and the family and his children, and to hear anything negative come out of anybody's mouth when referring to him when he's passed, it should be nothing but positivity, because he has people coming after him. So it's like, if that wasn't the case and Kobe was still here, it's fair game. It's fair game, because Kobe can defend himself. But if I gotta step up and be the guy no one likes, the guy everybody thinks is this and that, he shouldn't be talking, well, here I am talking about Kobe, protecting his name and his legacy. Because at the end of the day, you only want positive things to be said about you and your legacy when you're done with the game, when you're done with life. And that's all I was saying. It's like, oh, well, Kobe, he had Shaq for 3 years. And we talking about skill. We're talking about teammates. We talking about when you watch the game of basketball, you watch them Kobe Bryant highlights, man, it ain't no way you don't put him beside Michael Jordan. So here's what I'll do for the sake of conversation. Let's start the criteria here. Mike, Kobe will now be out of the conversation. We'll start it with LeBron. We don't even need to mention these two no more. They are that good when it comes to the blueprint of the game. Without stats and all that other shit, they out. Now, let's start with stats. You start with LeBron, everybody else can fall in line. LeBron is the GOAT. But that's because we're not mentioning these other two niggas no more. They're not even in the conversation. Player 99, player 98. Cool. Now y'all can have y'all, whoever he paying to say he the best, whatever the case may be. You like him, you like him. He the most biggest IQ guy. All that cool. You won't hear nothing else come from me. Because I'm taking these two guys out of the conversation. They ain't in it no more. For me. I don't know about anybody else. Because there's a long list of NBA players that say what I say and agree and feel the way I agree. Because we played. We watched it. We seen it. Shaq played with Mike and played against Mike before he played with Kobe. Then he won with Kobe and was able to say, yeah, damn, man. This dude really is that guy. Now, he might have had some comments that said that LeBron was the GOAT at some point because the GOAT of accomplishments does exist. So when you're the number one all-time scorer, you got to throw some respect on that. And I agree. But skill-wise and to play the game-wise and what we seen, man, it's two guys that I seen the toughest defense in the world on this dude. Kobe Bryant created moves because of this defense was that good. We ain't never seen that. He was forced to do you could never do. I just want the respect to just be there. I don't think it needs to be any malice or anything like, oh, I'm trying to attack Stephen A. I just feel personal when my man is gone. I gotta protect this. I gotta protect it. And that's what I'm here for. I stand on business. For real. For real. I ain't gotta play. I ain't Kobe. I ain't none of that. But bro, this is my bro. That's all I was saying. This is my bro. But thank you for the 12 minutes of promo. My IG's on fire. I'm looking for an agent, manager, whoever wants to step up. Yeah, man, I do this for real. Carry on.
So you heard what Rashad had to say. Shout out to Rashad. Rashad, man, I sent you a message on, we sent you a message on Instagram. I don't know if you saw. We're going to send you another one. If you want to come on the show and talk about this stuff, we can definitely discuss it. I think it'll be something very, very interesting. Piss off some of these people. Piss off some of these haters in the comment section. If you've seen this show, check your inbox because we sent you something, but we'll probably send it again. Anyway, let me get into this. Let me get into my thoughts. First of all, the only reason we're having this conversation is because of all of the disrespect that Kobe Bryant has been getting in the media over the last few years and all of the shills and cronies that are running around. That's pretty much the reason why. It has gotten to the point where we're so desensitized to the disrespect of Kobe that whenever someone stands up to defend his reputation, all of a sudden we have to have this big conversation about, what's going on with him? I don't understand. He's being emotional. And I'm like, there are a lot of people that feel the way Rashad McCants does. The problem is Kobe Bryant, for whatever reason, didn't pay people on TV to go out there and say that he's the best. Oh. Did I say that? I don't think I said that. Let's edit that out. I didn't say that. Maybe Kobe thought that was beneath him. Maybe MJ needs to do that. Maybe MJ thinks that's beneath him as well. He's like, I got a few billion, but I can't see myself trying to, get people on TV to convince to go out there, and maybe that's not his style. Listen, y'all already know what I think about Kobe, and I'm not coming off of it. If you feel a type of way, you feel a type of way. That's your blood. You can go ahead and kick a rock. I don't give what. I think Kobe's one of the 3 greatest players of all time, and I'm willing to argue that with anybody. Quite literally. Now, I'm not going to go on some dusty podcast or whatever and go argue with you and go twerk it up and dust it up with you guys. I'm not going to do that. But if we're going to have a sensible argument with people that have sense, then yes, absolutely. I think Kobe Bryant is one of the 3 greatest players of all time. And I'm not coming off of it. I got Michael Jordan as the greatest ever. I got, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar number 2. I got Kobe Bryant at number 3. And I got LeBron at number 4. Now, if you feel that's disrespectful, once again, there are plenty of buildings and rocks. You need to go ahead and go find a way to go kick them, because I don't care. I won't be convinced otherwise. Even Gilbert Arenas on the show, I've asked him, hey, Gil, who do you think is the better offensive player? He says Kobe. Who do you think is the better defensive player? He says Kobe. Who is more clutch? He says Kobe. Even on the show, in this particular show, they asked him, who's the greatest player you've ever seen play basketball? He goes, Kobe. They go, who's the best? I don't know. I'm like, Gil, you was getting on me because I forgot my top 5, but you don't even know who the GOAT is? In your opinion? Nah, we ain't gonna do that, man. We like twerking. They know who I'm talking about, them dudes that be in the comment section running around, slapping each other with honey, rubbing it down their backs, twerking it all over the place, tossing ones at each other, knocking over drinks, pushing people to the floor, gyrating all over the place, because they just can't help it. They know who the hell they are. And then the part that kills me is this. These jokers, that's what they are, jokers, they come to the comment section talking about, man, you can't get LeBron James out of your mind. I'm like, how you know? Daddy, how you know? You always talking about LeBron. How do you know? How do you know this? That means you always watching me. Would you believe that somebody was doing a 48-hour live the other day? Somebody texted me like, yo, man, they going through the community section in the live. I'm like, what? I can't get these rock. I need to throw a bottle of a can of Raid at these dudes to get these cockroaches off of me. God damn. But hey, Rashad, shout out to you, man. I appreciate your opinion. We just having a great old time with it. And they're going to say living rent free. Meanwhile, you're here. Let's go ahead and piss off some more people today. Why not? So, as you guys know, there have been a lot of questions circulating around the internet and amongst NBA fans asking a simple question. Why do some of these people say some of the stuff that they say? Why do some of these people... it's funny. We put up a post on our community board on our channel. When did I put up this post? Yeah. I put up this post 16 hours ago and I wrote the following. I said, you can easily tell the people who say what they really think versus those who want to say what they think but are paid to say otherwise. They always struggle to make sense. Laughing emoji, right? Now, some people got what I said. Other people didn't get what I said. Other people got offended at what I said. But the simple point I'm trying to make is this, that there have been so many sports takes over the last few years that have been so outlandish that it makes one ask themselves the pertinent question, what in the Lord's name would cause someone to say something like this? I'll give you guys some example. Nick Wright. Nick Wright in 2015, or was it 16 or whatever, 17, I believe, makes his debut on Undisputed when Shannon Sharpe was there. He comes on there with Chris Carter. They're talking about LeBron and Jordan, of course. And Nick Wright then goes out there and says, LeBron James already passed Michael. He would need a time machine to go back and pass in the past to pass Michael Jordan because when he passed him in 2016. And the entire set was like, what? To this day, that is the most viewed video of Nick Wright on the internet. It has about 4+ million views. Nick Wright trolled his way into sports media by saying that. Shannon Sharpe is another one. Shannon Sharpe can give great takes up until the point he starts talking about Michael Jordan. Shannon Sharpe will start saying Michael, LeBron, the GOAT. And a lot of us were sitting there talking about, like, yo, bro, what are you talking about? 2011, you were saying Michael Jordan is next to Jesus and Guy and Kobe and all of them. Now all of a sudden, Kobe number 9 and all. I'm like, and the question a lot of us were asking was, how did Kobe drop so far down, all of this stuff? But meanwhile, these guys are retired. What had happened? What's the new information that came out? A lot of people started questioning that. You got Kendrick Perkins coming out there saying some ridiculous, and so many people like this, and it's causing a lot of us to say, are these guys being influenced to say certain things? Now, whenever I say something like this, oh, you don't know nobody, you in the outside looking in, you don't know nobody. So what happened? Yesterday, they were having a heated discussion on Gil's Arena, and Rashad McCants was actually responding to the comments that Stephen A. Smith made. And during his monologue, he said something quite interesting about people, or suggesting that LeBron and his camp pay certain people in media to go out there and say that he's better than Jordan. But before we even get into his comments, this video is brought to you by a sponsor Aura. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is today? It's identity theft. Imagine trying to log into your email only to see that your password has been changed. Then you start getting weird notifications from your bank and credit cards only to find out that all of your personal and sensitive information has been totally compromised. If you think it can happen to you and your family, just know that in 2020, over 49 million Americans were victims to identity theft, costing them a combined $56 billion. That is why we are excited to partner with Aura, who's the sponsor of this video. Aura is the #1 identity theft and financial fraud protection. Aura monitors the dark web and alerts you if any of your passwords and accounts have been breached. And funny enough, after using Aura, I discovered some of my credentials were floating around in the dark web, and the app showed me exactly when and where the breach happened. In addition, Aura allows you to set spending alerts and they'll notify you of any suspicious transactions. Aura is 4 times faster than any of its competitors in alerting you if someone is trying to open a credit card or obtain a loan using your name. And remember this, every 14 seconds someone becomes a victim of identity fraud. Don't let it happen to you. Now click the link in the description and try Aura for free for 2 weeks and see if any of you or your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial at aura.com/DREAMERSPRO. And when you try Aura by using the link in the description below, also know that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do is want to quickly play what Rashad McCants had to say about this thing, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what he had to say here.
Let's start the criteria here. Mike Kobe will now be out of the conversation. We'll start it with LeBron. We don't even need to mention these two no more. They are that good when it comes to the blueprint of the game. Without stats and all that other shit, they out. Now, let's start with stats. You start with LeBron, everybody else can fall in line. LeBron is the GOAT. But that's because we're not mentioning these other two niggas no more. They're not even in the conversation. Player 99, player 98. Cool. Now y'all can have y'all, you know, whoever he paying to say he the best, whoever, whatever the case may be. You like him, you like him. He the most biggest IQ guy. All that cool. You won't hear nothing else come from me. Because I'm taking these two guys out of the conversation. They ain't in it no more. For me. I don't know about anybody else. Because there's a long list of NBA players that say what I say and agree and feel the way I agree. Because we played. We watched it.
But the question is this. When does reality kick in when we're having debates, right? Before Michael Jordan, there was someone on top, right? Whoever that was, they got pushed the out. If Kobe's number 2, before he was number 2, who was number 2, right? Mm-hmm. They had to get put in. He had to move somebody out. So it ain't on anyone's name because you don't mention them anymore or they move. Like Kobe was the next Jordan, right? He was the next Jordan. He was compared. There was times where he said, I'm 1A, he's 1B, right? The reason he's not in the GOAT debate anymore is because they have LeBron as the definite 2, right? So there's no, if they move Kobe to 3 in the debate, there's no point of even having that conversation because he can't collect stats anymore. So his stats ain't collectible anymore. So whatever his stats are, whatever his resume is, it's stopped. So if someone caught him, that's who gets put into the GOAT debate, just like when Kobe, whoever was in front of Kobe and he caught him, they don't talk about 3.
So Michael would have been pushed out there. Correct?
If someone caught him.
No, because Kobe caught him and passed him. So he would have been pushed out.
What year did anybody say Kobe was number 1?
I'm not saying by your metric what you just said.
I just said that.
You said when Michael came in, he had to push somebody out. Mm-hmm. Then here come Kobe. So who would get pushed out if Kobe comes in? Michael.
Number 2.
That means
who was number 2?
No, I'm not saying number 2. If Kobe comes in as number 2,
how did he came in the league as number 2?
No, man, I'm just saying in the conversation.
Okay, but what I'm saying is think about what I'm saying. If Michael Jordan is in the 90s, number 1, who's number 2 in the 90s of all time?
Doesn't matter.
It does.
I'm saying what you just said.
It does. So listen to what I'm saying. If this is Jordan, who's number 2? Because Kobe ain't in the league yet when Jordan's number 1. So who's number 2? That means whatever Kobe did.
Number 2? Okay, so if you don't even know, who number 2,
Wilt, whatever, Magic, whatever.
They all got pushed out, right?
They got pushed out by Kobe.
No, they got pushed out by Mike.
No, Mike was already, he was number 1.
Who was number 1 before Mike?
They didn't have one. They didn't have a GOAT. They didn't have a GOAT yet. The first GOAT.
So
and the
Wilt
only
Chamberlain wasn't.
They didn't have.
Bill Russell wasn't.
They didn't have no GOAT.
Nobody. Kareem wasn't, because Kareem led the league in all-time points.
They didn't have a GOAT.
They didn't have a GOAT.
Why you think Kareem?
But that ain't what Isaiah Thomas said. So what you saying don't have no merit, because Isaiah Thomas said, "Captain, when he walked in the room, we bowed."
Who?
Isaiah Thomas said it.
That's one person.
It don't matter about one person. He said we all came down. That's Cap. That's Cap when he came in. That's Big Cap. So when Big Cap stopped, it come in Magic and Bird. They didn't get the same kind of bravado, but then Mike comes in. Mike gets the bravado.
Okay.
Here comes Kobe. Now
So
you
Cap
just
is
said
second.
that
So if Jordan's in front, Cap is second.
But you said
right?
the collectible stats, because LeBron is still collecting stats. Mike's not collecting stats no more. So how is it that you say, okay, because Kobe's not collecting stats no more, we can push him out because here's LeBron, but Mike ain't been collecting stats since 2002.
And who passed him?
Kobe Bryant passed him.
When?
What do you mean when? When he passed it, Michael Jordan in the scoring list. Do you follow basketball?
Yeah, so the scoring.
Okay.
So
what are you
the
talking
score-
about? He passed him.
In the scoring list, that didn't put him in front of Michael Jordan of all time.
Oh my gosh. So how does it?
Michael Jordan
So
was-
how does LeBron James get in front of Kobe Bryant all the time?
Because his metrics said he was a better player so far.
Excuse me?
His
You talking
career.
stats?
What? How
You
long?
just said we're not talking stats.
So you heard what Rashad McCants had to say. What are my thoughts? My thoughts are simply this. I think that there are people in media that are being influenced to say certain things. However, we don't have any concrete proof. That's it. Now, do I need 100% proof to know this? No. You can tell, because these guys always have difficulties making sense. I think that what happens is these guys defend these narratives so much to the point where it becomes obvious that they're being influenced. I remember there was an episode on Undisputed when, oh Lord, what's her name? I think Joy Taylor and Steven Jackson were there, and they were like, they heard that Shannon gets paid to say LeBron is a GOAT. And Skip was like, wait, what? Really? Skip didn't know. And it was like, and then Steven Jackson was like, yeah, I heard that too. That's what they said. Go pull up the video anywhere when they said DreamersPro got paid to say anything about anybody in terms of saying I always felt the way I felt. It happens. It happens. People are desperate. There are people out there that are truly, truly desperate. And they're going to go to any length to convince you guys. I think the sad part is some of these fans believing that what these guys are saying, they actually believe. That's the sad part. If you want to get, the rawest, realest opinions, in my personal view, I think the only place that these views are housed is in independent media. And I'm not talking about independent media by these guys that are former NBA players. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about independent creators that have no skin in the game, that have no connect. These guys are going to say what they think because they don't have anybody to protect. They don't know these people, so they can just speak freely. If you really want to know what people think, go to independent media. I'm not talking about these established guys I'm talking about independent. They'll tell you because they don't have anything connected to these people. Those are the only constituency left out there saying the truth, and that's why they're so important. This is why they're so important. These are the only guys telling you the truth. Most of these guys are not. They're not going to. It's a game. They're all playing it at your expense. You're boo-boo the fool. They had this man, it was total chaos yesterday on Gil's Arena. What set it off was Rashad McCants responding to the comments that Stephen A. Smith made on his show over the comments that Allen Iverson made in terms of having Kobe Bryant and Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan as 1 and 2. And they were arguing, okay, why do the players say this, but fans say this, and media say this? Let me just explain to you why. Players say one thing, fans and media say something else. It is very simple. The players think for themselves. They have real experience. That's why they always have a different view. So we've explained the players. Why do the fans and the media say something else? Well, most fans are sheep. Sorry to say it. Most fans are sheep. They're not going to do research. They're very lazy. This is the prototypical fan. And then what happens is they rely on people in media, especially people on television, because for whatever reason, whenever we see people sitting on TV with a suit and tie, we always believe that they're telling us the truth. So media people then have their own personal agendas that they go out there and promote. And then fans who are lazy, don't do research, they then latch onto those opinions, and their opinions become those of the media. That's how it works, folks. And then what happens is you have people following famous people around, and whenever they say things, they believe them, and they rarely sit down and think for themselves. Is this making sense? A lot of people struggle with what I call sheep syndrome. I just made it up. I don't know if it's a thing, but I just made it up. What is sheep syndrome? Sheep syndrome, in my personal view, is when you're so beholden to the concept of being a follower that even if somebody who's famous says something that you disagree with, inherently, you still cannot make it make sense to you because your sheep syndrome won't allow you for you to have your own individual thoughts. So someone that's famous will say something, you know it doesn't make sense, but you can't help yourself but to be a sheep. So you still follow anyway and drink the Kool-Aid and then run around in comment sections, twerking it up. And we can see straight through you dudes. You dudes are transparent. Inside you're crying because you can't even help yourself, but to be a sheep. This is what's happening here. That explains the dichotomy between NBA players having their own views and media and fans. That's all, folks. Most fans don't even have opinions. Their opinions are what other people said. That's their whole view on sports. And then you have independent media, people like myself and others, who have our own views, and we're trying to wake people up out of this hypnosis that they seem to be, this sleepwalking that they're going through. So what happened? They're having this heated discussion. And during this heated debate, it was them basically arguing about why LeBron should be ahead of Kobe versus why Kobe should be ahead of LeBron. And it turned into an absolute melee. Not literally. I mean, Rashad McCants was going, Gilbert Arenas was going, Kenyon Martin was going, and it was absolute fireworks and great content. So what we want to do is want to play it in its entirety. It's a bit long, but I think you guys should listen to all of it because all of it is pertinent to this show, and it ties into everything here. So what we want to do is want to play this full exchange for you guys. Sit back, get your popcorn, listen to it, and we'll come back and continue on with the show. Take a listen to that.
But the question is this. When does reality kick in when we're having debates, right? Before Michael Jordan, there was someone on top, right? Whoever that was, they got pushed the out. If Kobe's number two, before he was number two, who was number two, right? Mm-hmm. They had to get put in. He had to move somebody out. So it ain't on anyone's name because you don't mention them anymore or they move. Like Kobe was the next Jordan, right? He was the next Jordan. He was compared. There was times where he said, I'm 1A, he's 1B, right? The reason he's not in the GOAT debate anymore is because they have LeBron as the definite two, right? So there's no, if they've moved Kobe to 3 in the debate, there's no point in even having that conversation because he can't collect stats anymore. So his stats ain't collectible anymore. So whatever his stats are, whatever his resume is, it's stopped. So if someone caught him, that's who gets put into the GOAT bait, just like when Kobe, whoever was in front of Kobe and he caught him, they don't talk about 3.
So Michael would have been pushed out then, correct?
If someone caught him.
No, because Kobe caught him and passed him. So he would have been pushed out.
What year did anybody say Kobe was number 1?
I'm not saying by your metric what you just said.
I just said that.
You said when Michael came in, he had to push somebody out. Mm-hmm. Then here come Kobe. So who would get pushed out if Kobe comes in? Michael.
Number 2.
That means
who was number 2?
No, I'm not saying number 2. If Kobe comes in as number 2.
How did he came in the league as number 2?
No, man, I'm just saying in the conversation.
Okay, but what I'm saying is think about what I'm saying. If Michael Jordan is in the 90s, number 1, who's number 2 in the 90s of all time?
Doesn't matter.
It does.
I'm saying what you just said.
It does. So listen to what I'm saying. If this is Jordan, who's number 2? Because Kobe ain't in the league yet when Jordan's number 1. So who's number 2? That means whatever Kobe did.
Number 2? Okay, so if you don't even know,
Kareem,
who number 2
Wilt,
is,
whatever, Magic, whatever.
they all got pushed out, right?
They got pushed out by Kobe.
No, they got pushed out by Mike.
No, Mike was already, he was number one.
Who was number 1
89.
before Mike?
They didn't have one. They didn't have a GOAT. They didn't have a GOAT yet. The first GOAT
So
and the
Wilt
only
Chamberlain
GOAT,
wasn't.
They didn't have.
Bill Russell wasn't.
They didn't have no GOAT.
Nobody. Kareem wasn't, because Kareem led the league in all-time points.
They didn't have a GOAT.
They didn't have a GOAT.
Why you think Kareem was
But that
better?
ain't what Isaiah Thomas said. So what you saying don't have no merit, because Isaiah Thomas said, Captain, when he walked in the room, we bow.
Who?
Isaiah Thomas said it.
That's one person.
It don't matter about one person. He said we all came down. That's Cap. That's Cap when he came in. That's Big Cap. So when Big Cap stopped, it come in Magic and Bird. They didn't get the same kind of bravado, but then Mike comes in. Mike gets the bravado.
Okay.
Here comes Kobe. Now
So Cap is second. So
that
if Jordan's in front, Cap is second.
but you said
right?
the collectible stats, because LeBron is still collecting stats. Mike's not collecting stats no more. So how is it that you say, okay, because Kobe's not collecting stats no more, we can push him out because here's LeBron, but Mike ain't been collecting stats since 2002.
And who passed him?
Kobe Bryant passed him.
When?
What do you mean when? When he passed it, Michael Jordan in the scoring list. Do you follow basketball?
Yeah, so the scoring.
Okay.
So
what are you
the
talking
score-
about? He passed him.
In the scoring list, that didn't put him in front of Michael Jordan of all time.
Oh my gosh. So how does it?
Michael Jordan
So
was-
how does LeBron James get in front of Kobe Bryant all the time?
Because his metrics said he was a better player so far.
Excuse me?
His
You talking
career.
stats?
What? How long?
You just said we're not talking stats. You just
Wait, no,
said
wait.
we're not
How
talking
long-
stats.
How long was LeBron the number 2?
Here we go.
2015, 14? Right? They done had him in there, 2014, 15 as the second best? Right?
Never.
Right now it's 50-50
Never.
on who's number 1.
Never.
That's the problem.
No, it's
right
not.
now, when you hit LeBron James, who is the number 1 player ever? It's a 50-50 thing.
Let me
It's
just smoke this
60-40, so
conversation.
that means whoever's third, there's no point of...
The only way James can be mentioned in this conversation is with stats. Period.
So-
If you don't bring LeBron James stats into play, no NBA player is considering him and his body of work, his skill set, and any close to Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant, because the skill sets are different. Now, you talk about stats, that's when you gotta bring LeBron in because of the stats. But players don't do that.
Skill set? What do you mean skill set? How he looked playing the game?
Because the question that you asked was why do the players look at Kobe different than the media?
Yeah.
Right?
Media and fans.
Media and fans. When it comes to certain things and certain players, people have memory like an elephant, right? With no controversy on Kobe's book, he'll still be in the conversation. People try to use that when they're having a debate, unfortunately,
Yes.
right? If we call it spade. Not us,
I don't say.
not players, media and fans is what I'm saying. So the question that he asked was, so I'm just answering the question
Okay.
that you asked. And they can continue that debate. I'm enjoying it. But I think it's that people try to put into the narrative of it when it comes to certain conversations behind closed doors, right? They're not gonna mention it to the masses, but behind closed doors when we're having these conversations. But what about? And then it's like the room gets silent,
Because it's moving the
right?
goalposts.
But for us, for me, Kobe has never been out of the best basketball player of all time debate. Never. Because I played against him. I had guarded. Badass man. The ball in his hand. Competitive as they come, 5 rings, all of it. You can't talk about because he had Shaq. No, he got 5 rings, man. And he is who he is. Through our generation of playing, my 15 years of playing basketball, Kobe Bryant was the best basketball player in the National Basketball Association. Without question,
Damn, man.
right?
So
for me,
high five, Kenyon, goddamn.
right, for me, he always has been here, right? I look at him and so there's always going to be a debate. Everything is subjective to everybody's opinion. Everybody has an opinion about it. So respect everybody's opinion about it. That's all I'm like, because it's.
Where do you rank him?
I don't rank. I don't care, to be honest with you, Gil.
Okay, but the
I look at it in generations, bruh.
So you heard what these gentlemen had to say. Listen, it was total chaos, but it was chaos in a good way. It was absolutely fun. What I like about it is, I think what makes the panel of Gil's Arena work is simply this. It's different from television. In television, what you would have is a bunch of people sitting up there twerking it up all over the place for LeBron James. In the case of Gil's Arena, Gilbert Arenas is the one basically in most cases twerking it up for LeBron. He know it. He know it. I ain't lying. He know it. I ain't lying. He know it. Right? I ain't lying. He know it. So he be supporting LeBron. But what makes it good is that you have people like Rashad McCants who vehemently disagree with him. You have a counterbalance. Two different opposing views. You ain't got two people sitting up there twerking it up all over the place. Two people with two different views. Then you got a Kenyon Martin who can go either way with his views. Some cases I've heard him agree with Gilbert Arenas 100%. Other cases I've heard him agree with Rashad McCants. In other cases I've heard him disagree with both of them. And I think that's what made it a good show. You have different views. Not like on TV where everybody gets to pick, okay, you're going to go out there, say this, you're going to say this, you're going to say this, you're going to say this. All right, let's go outside and act like we got, let's act like as if we're all thinking for ourselves when we know we're not. So to me, I think that's what made the show great. Great show. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that segment from beginning to end. And one quick thing I want to say. They put up a poll during the live chat. And at the beginning of the poll, most people were saying Rashad and Kenyon were right. But then the people that came in later, they did not hear those original points, voted for Gilbert Arenas. But those guys were right. Yesterday, they had this heated debate. Yesterday, it all depends on when you're seeing the show. But today, on the 10th of January, they had a heated debate on Gil's Arena about, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and all of that, right? And during the conversation, at the beginning of it, I want you guys to follow this. People that struggle with logic are going to follow. People that struggle with logic are already confused. I want you guys to follow this logically so it makes perfect sense to you. They asked the panel the following question. They said, before we play it for you, okay, why is it that players, NBA players, always view Kobe in a different light than NBA fans and media? That was the question that was the first question that was posed. And Gilbert Arenas answered first. So what we want to do is we want to play what Gilbert Arenas said as his response to that original question. Take a listen to what Gilbert Arenas had to say here.
So go debate is subjective. People have their pick. There isn't anything that will change a lot of people's minds, whether it's MJ, LeBron, Kobe, even Kareem. But Gil, why do players have so much more respect for Kobe and his contribution to the game than fans or media do?
Players are in the lion's cage with the lions, right? Media watches, right? So, when you have to guard someone, 43, 48 minutes, day in and day out, you know who's who. You know who's a killer, right? Your stats don't mean anything. It's not like you take in consideration double teams and triple teams, right? None of that factors in. It doesn't factor in how high a guy can jump, how fast he is, what type of engine he has, what is he working with, how's he starting this race. Media don't factor any of that in because if they haven't played, they wouldn't know, that this guy has if we're running a 100-yard race, he already at the 60-yard line when we start because, he got this engine. So for this guy to even get close, for this guy to even lose by 10 yards, in a sense, that is the win for us because the one guy had a 60-yard head start, right? So that's what we see as players, right? That's why when you hear players talk about other players, that's what's respected. Not with the media. We really don't care because y'all are just looking at stats. Y'all don't have no feel for it. Y'all don't understand it. Y'all have never sat in front of that guy and see how hard it is to guard.
So you heard what he had to say. Let me reiterate his point so people don't get confused here. Gilbert Arenas' response was simply this. Players, we evaluate other players differently than fans and media. Stats don't matter to us. What we evaluate is, from our experience and all of those different things. We don't view it through the prism of stats. Now, Rashad McCants also said that the only way we are having this conversation about LeBron being better than Kobe or LeBron being better than Mike is by using stats. He was responding to Gilbert Arenas, then turning around and then what? Trying to use stats, something he said that players don't use to evaluate other players. So for those of you who didn't hear that, I want you guys to now try to listen to him use stats. The same Gilbert Arenas says he doesn't use stats. I want you guys to listen to him here try to make an argument to defend LeBron against the greatness of Jordan by using stats. Take a listen to Gilbert Arenas here.
But the question is this. When does reality kick in when we're having debates, right? Before Michael Jordan, there was someone on top, right? Whoever that was, they got pushed the out. If Kobe's number 2, before he was number 2, who was number 2, right? Mm-hmm. They had to get put in. He had to move somebody out. So it ain't on anyone's name because you don't mention them anymore or they move. Like Kobe was the next Jordan, right? He was the next Jordan. He was compared. There was times where he said, I'm 1A, he's 1B, right? The reason he's not in the GOAT debate anymore is because they have LeBron as the definite 2, right? So there's no, if they move Kobe to 3 in the debate, there's no point of even having that conversation because he can't collect stats anymore. So his stats ain't collectible anymore. So whatever his stats are, whatever his resume is, it's stopped. So if someone caught him, that's who gets put into the GOAT debate, just like when Kobe, whoever was in front of Kobe and he caught him, they don't talk about 3.
So Michael would have been pushed out there, correct?
If someone caught him?
No, because Kobe caught him and passed him. So he would have been pushed out.
What year did anybody say Kobe was number 1?
I'm not saying by your metric, what you just said.
I just said that.
You said when Michael came in, he had to push somebody out. Mm-hmm. Then here come Kobe. So who would get pushed out if Kobe comes in? Michael.
Number 2.
That means
who was number 2?
No, I'm not saying number 2. If Kobe comes in as number 2.
How did he came in the league as number 2?
No, man, I'm just saying in the conversation.
Okay, but what I'm saying is think about what I'm saying. If Michael Jordan is in the 90s, number 1, who's number 2 in the 90s of all time?
Doesn't matter.
It does.
I'm saying what you just said.
It does. So listen to what I'm saying. If this is Jordan, who's number 2? Because Kobe ain't in the league yet when Jordan's number 1. So who's number 2? That means whatever Kobe
who was
did.
Number 2? Okay, so if you don't even know who number 2
Wilt, whatever, Magic, whatever.
They all got pushed out, right?
They got pushed out by Kobe.
No, they got pushed out by Mike.
No, Mike was already, he was number 1.
Who was number 1 before Mike?
They didn't have one. They didn't have a GOAT. They didn't have a GOAT yet. The first GOAT
so
and the
Wilt
only
Chamberlain
GOAT,
wasn't.
They didn't have.
Bill Russell wasn't.
They didn't have no GOAT.
Nobody. Kareem wasn't, because Kareem led the league in all-time points.
They didn't have a GOAT.
They didn't have a GOAT.
Why you think Kareem?
But that ain't what Isaiah Thomas said. So what you saying don't have no merit, because Isaiah Thomas said, Captain, when he walked in the room, we bowed.
Who?
Isaiah Thomas said it.
That's one person.
It don't matter about one person. He said we all came down. That's Cap. That's Cap when he came in. That's Big Cap. So when Big Cap stopped, it come in Magic and Bird. They didn't get the same kind of bravado, but then Mike comes in. Mike gets the bravado. Okay. Here comes Kobe. Now you just said
that if Jordan's in front, Cap is second.
But you said the collectible stats, because LeBron is still collecting stats. Mike's not collecting stats no more. So how is it that you say, okay, because Kobe's not collecting stats no more, we can push him out because here's LeBron, but Mike ain't been collecting stats since 2002.
And who passed him?
Kobe Bryant passed him.
When?
What do you mean when? When he passed it, Michael Jordan in the scoring list. Do you follow basketball?
Yeah, so the scoring
Okay.
list.
So what are you talking about? He passed him.
In the scoring list, that didn't put him in front of Michael Jordan of all time.
Oh my gosh. So how does it?
Michael Jordan.
So how does LeBron James get in front of Kobe Bryant all the time?
because his metrics said he was a better player so far.
Excuse me?
His
You're talking
career.
stats?
How long?
You just said we're not talking stats. You just said we're not talking stats, Gil.
So you heard the exchange. Here's what I think. Gilbert gonna do a live, but Gil, you know I gotta keep it real. You know I gotta keep it real. We just talking ball. We gotta keep it funky, but I gotta keep it real. I think Gil had a slip up right there. I think Gil had a slip up. Here's what I really, really think. This is what I think. I could be wrong, but this is what I think. I think that if you ask Gilbert Arenas to say who are the 3 greatest basketball players of all time, he's going to say the following. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. If you ask Gilbert Arenas off that show in person, can you please rank those 3 players in order? Gilbert Arenas is going to say the following. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. That is exactly what Gilbert Arenas is going to say. Period. I can almost assure you that's what he's going to say. Do you know why I am saying that? For a few reasons. Number 1, Gilbert Arenas went on that show and said the following when they asked him, what's the best basketball player you ever seen play basketball? That was the question. Gilbert Arenas with his own 2 lips said, Kobe Bryant. Now, I get roasted because they were talking about all I watch is Jordan highlights. Let me put a sheep in the back. I was born in 1987. If you expected me to start watching basketball when I was 2 years old, then you're an idiot. I didn't watch Michael Jordan play. In 97, I was 10 years old. I just started following the NBA, in 1999. I came back from Sierra Leone as a kid when I was about 96, 97. I was in Sierra Leone because my mom's from West Africa. Born in the States, but I went there for some years. So how else could I see Michael Jordan play? So you saying that, what does that make you sound like? An idiot. I watched Jordan highlights and game footage of the highlights. Let me ask you a question. How else would you watch other players that you weren't old enough to watch? Y'all are idiots. These guys that say, y'all are super fools. Were you old enough to watch Bill Russell play? No, I wasn't. He got me. How come he got you? Because I can't reason properly. Oh, you watch it. Sheep syndrome, man. We need to get you guys some hay or some grass or something. I don't know what to say to you guys. But anyway, if you ask Gilbert Arenas, I think he would say those 3 players. Now, let me get back to the point. The question then becomes, so they asked him, they said, who's the greatest basketball player you've ever seen? He says Kobe. Then they asked him, who's the GOAT? Now, I was getting roasted for forgetting my top 5, but Gilbert Arenas doesn't seem to know who the GOAT is. What? I've heard Gilbert Arenas say Michael Jordan's the GOAT. I've heard him say LeBron is the GOAT. I've heard him say Kobe Bryant is the GOAT. So which one is it? Which one is it? Here's what I think. And I could be wrong, Gil. You could correct me. You can do a live and let me know. But what I think is this. I think Gil thinks Michael Jordan is the greatest player ever. I think that he thinks Kobe's number 2, but he has to say LeBron is number 2 because he wants to cater to you younger guys. Because y'all burst into tears in the comment section if somebody doesn't say that. That's why. I think he's trying to save you guys from your emotions. I don't believe that. I don't believe he believes that at all. I don't believe it. I don't. I've asked him myself, who's the better offensive player? He says Kobe. Who's the better defensive player? He says Kobe. Who's more clutch? He says Kobe. Who's better? He can't give me an answer. He knows that. He knows that. He's like, what are we going to go by the eye test? Well, how else are we going to evaluate players? How else can you if you're not using your eyeballs? But who look better? You're watching him play. I'm sorry. You're playing against somebody. How are you evaluating? Man, this guy's really good. What is stats? Read them out to me. Man, he's amazing. Come on, stop. Stop. Stop, 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 stop. Stop. Of course you're using your eyes. What are you talking about? So to me, listen, I think that was a major slip up. I think Gil thinks this. He thinks Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time. He thinks Kobe's the second greatest, and he thinks LeBron is. And the only way he can use LeBron is to use stats. The very thing he said he would not use. Right here in this video. And Rashad makes the point that's the only way you can do it. Now, to me, I don't care about that. I don't care about that. Jordan's the greatest ever. Period. I was watching Jordan. I'm beginning to wonder, like, what y'all be on when y'all be saying these things? I'm one of the few people out there with the balls to say, I don't think this debate is even close. I think that the only reason they have this debate is to have something to talk about. That is all. You could have a kangaroo that can play basketball very good, and they'll be comparing that kangaroo to Michael Jordan. It's just because they need something to talk about. And LeBron is playing. I can assure you of that. It's not close. I don't see it. I'm sorry, I don't see it. I don't see it. You can say it's 2. I think it's 2. Then if it's 2, it ain't a close 2. Like, cut it out. Like, Jordan is he's way better. And to get Gil again with he tried to use stats again. Gil also said that we were already considering Michael Jordan. To me, he said on the show, we were already considering, or I think on another show, he said, we were already considering Michael Jordan the greatest player ever after 18,000 points. That's what they were saying. They were already considering him the best ever after he scored 18,000 points. So then how all of a sudden now it became about stats when you yourself said it's not about stats. But just to keep LeBron fans from boo-booing in their diapers, you got to bring up stats.